Hello everyone. I've been getting a lot of questions lately about the new refining system that came out with the Module 2 release. It's quite a bit different from the previous system, and that's causing a lot of confusion for people. So I thought I would make this little how-to video and go over it as best I could in a visual manner. Now, just like with the previous system, you're going to find the enchantment that you want to upgrade or fuse. Double click on it and that's going to open up your new item refinement window. It'll show the enchantment that you're actually going to upgrade, and over on the right it shows you the result, the end result, once you've done the actual fusing. That way you can compare the two and make sure that that is actually what you want. You'll notice here it says refining points, and that you need 60 more refining points to upgrade it, because it's a rank 2 going to a rank 3. The amount of refining points that you're going to need to feed into this enchantment is going to depend on the rank. The higher the rank, the more refining points that you have to get to where you can actually do the fusing. Okay, so in this case it's a rank 2, so it only needs 60. But if I were to go to, say, my rank 5 Azure here, you will see that it requires 3,235 more to fuse it to a new rank 6. But for the video here, we're going to work with this start 2, rank 2. Alright, now, to get the refining points, what you have to do is you basically are going to feed the enchantment that you're going to upgrade. You're going to feed it other enchantments, or it doesn't matter if they're the same type or if they're a different type. Basically, the way it works is, if, let's say, we're doing the rank 2, if I were to grab these rank 2 radiants and drop them into the window, each one of these tabs is going to fill up. Now, as you can see here, because I put 5 that give me 15 refining points each, it then shows that I am 15 over the requirement. Now, what that means is that because I only needed 60 total to upgrade it, and I fed it more, it takes you over the requirement. But you don't have to worry about that, because this 15 isn't lost. You're not losing it. What happens is, if you were to do the refine like so, it then tells you that yes, you can now upgrade this. You have a 90% chance of it succeeding. And you will also notice that this little box here shows up. It becomes available. And what this is in the new system, unlike before where you just needed 4 of the same type, it now requires regents. The regents are items that you will get while you're playing in different areas, depending on the rank and quality of the regent that you're using or need. In this case, it's a minor mark of potency. Now, the minor mark of potency, if you read the tooltip, it will say that these items are found in chest rewards from leadership, from skill nodes, and can be found on the Wondrous Bazaar. Now, leadership, that is referring to the leadership missions that you can do that will give you, like, the green barrels and so on and so forth. So those have a chance of dropping in from those barrels. And it also, you can get them from skill nodes. The skill nodes are the glittering items that you see around as you're going through different zones and different areas or dungeons. And the ones that require thievery and arcana and so on. So these, anytime you open a skill node, it has a chance giving you a mark of potency quality levels depending on the level of the zone that you're in. So if you're in high level zones, like epic dungeons, you're more likely to get the higher rare ranks like the blues, the greens, and the blues. But if you're in the starter zones, you're more likely to get the minor marks of potencies. Now, the potencies are used for enchantments, standard runes, weapon and armor enchantments, and in the new artifact system, which I will go into more detail here once we've gone through the basics of these others. This is a little different, so I'll cover that by itself. But as you can see, I'm now at the point where I can upgrade this, and it's telling me that I need 2 minor marks of potencies, which I have plenty of, and it's also asking for a ward. Now, you don't have to use wards, whether it's a preservation ward or a coalescent ward. You don't have to use them. They're not required. But obviously, the higher the rank, the more likely you are to fail. So you're probably, once you start reaching like rank 5, rank 6, and higher, you're going to want to start using the green preservation wards when it comes to the standard enchantments. But this is a low level one, and I'm not going to use it. So all you have to do now is hit the upgrade. It's going to pop up a confirmation, making sure you're not making a mistake, and just hit OK. It'll go through the process, and it shows that it was successful. So I now turn that rank 2 into a rank 3. And it also tells you that you used up 2 of your minor marks of potencies. Just hit continue. And as you can see here, this bar is partially filled. If you remember previously, because I overfilled it with refining points, those refining points simply went into the enchantment's overall refining points pool. So you don't lose them, it simply goes to the next rank's pool. Now, if I wanted to continue to go with this, I now have to give it more points. In this case, because I ranked it up from a 2, it's now a 3. The refining points amount that I need increases, so I start feeding it some more enchantments. Which brings up a good point. Just like previously, where you had to use 4 of the same type, you'll notice that in this case, I'm using a radiant instead of a dark. That's one of the nice benefits of the system, the new system. They don't have to be of the same type to add the refining points. You can use anything. It can be the rune stones, which are for companions, or another type of standard enchantment. But having said that, if you use an enchantment of the same type, such as, let's see, okay, these are of the same type, same rank. If I put that in there, you'll notice you get a bonus. Instead of the white, let me add some of these radiants in. All right, you see the rank 2 radiant gives, actually, let's see if I've got a green of a different type that is rank 3. All right, there we go. Different type, but same rank. So if I add that in, you'll see the Azure is only giving me 45 points. Whereas because it's the same type and whatnot, the dark is giving me more points. The reason for that is simply it encourages you and basically gives you a bonus for using the same type. But you don't need to. It's not required. It simply makes getting the refining points a little easier because you get more of them. I mean, you go from 45 to 90, which is good, but a lot of times, if you've got a specific enchantment, like for instance darks, so let's say you've got a specific enchantment that you want to upgrade, but all you've got is a ton of radiance. Okay, not a problem. you can still upgrade your dark simply by using your radiance instead. One thing to keep in mind is that you also, as you're going through the game and playing, when you're opening up the skill nodes and whatnot, there are a new item that is dropping called refining stones. The refining stones, unlike the marks of potencies, they drop in the same areas, from the skill nodes and monster drops and different stuff like that. The difference between a refining stone, a standard refining stone, such as the aquamarine that I've got here, and the mark of potency, they both call themselves refining stones, but if you go over and look at the tooltip, you'll see that it states that it gives 1,500 refining points. And that's the only value that it has, other than copper and silver and gold and so on. It is intended to be used in place of enchantments as when you're trying to up your refining points to upgrade. So if I drag this and drop it, you'll see that I get a set amount. This blue aquamarine says it gives 1,500. You add it to it, it's giving me 1,500. It will give you 1,500 no matter what enchantment you add, you're adding it to. Let's see, like for instance, okay, Lesser Bark Shield. This is a armor enhancement enchantment. So if I add the Aquamarina to it, I still get 1,500. No matter what you use it for, it's going to give you that set amount. So there's no bonus or anything like that. Let's go back to our dark. Now open the dark back up, and I'm going to upgrade the dark 3 to dark 4. Just like before, I grab my enchantments that I want to use, and I hit refine. Now you just saw that said critical success. Just like in game when you're damaging mobs, the refining points that you add to it, the items that you add to add refining points, has a chance of getting a critical success. When you get a critical success, all that means is you get a few more points for that particular item that you used as a refining points item. I don't know how else to say that. It's not a guarantee. There's nothing you can do to improve your critical chance rate. It just happens. It's a fairly random thing. But once again, we're going to add them to it because I'm not quite there yet. So we add it to it. Again, went from, instead of 15, because of the critical success, it got a 22. And now I need one more point. But remember, that's okay. Add them to them. I don't want to feed all of them, so I'm going to clear them out. Which brings me up to a point here I needed to mention. There are multiple ways to fill in these slots. You can drag and drop from inventory and fill them up. You can right-click on them to remove them, or you can click on the Fill All Remaining Slots bar and tell it to clear all. Now, let's say you don't have any enchantments in your inventory, but no, you have them in the bank. That's not going to be a problem. Just click on Fill All Remaining Slots, and it will pull up a listing of all the enchantments and everything, pretty much everything you've got. And if they are in the bank, it will also list them there. So you don't have to have them in your inventory to use them. If they're in your bank, that's fine. You simply click on this button and select it from the list. This list also gives you the ability to clear it. But in this case, I don't have any in my bank. They're all in my inventory for this video, so I'm just adding them that way. So once again, we fill that up, and even though I only need 1 point, the lowest I can get in this case is a 15, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to lose those 14 points. It goes into the next rank. And then we hit refine. And again, as you can see, the chance went down. Before it was 90, now it's 85. So just like before, the higher the rank, the lower your chance of success. Now, in this case, unlike before, rank 1s, rank 2s, going from rank 1 to rank 2 requires the minor, which is these white ones. Once you get to rank 3 and you go from rank 3 to rank 4, it's now going to require the green ones, the lesser marks of potency. And if you look in the tooltip, it'll tell you where it's found. It tells you that it can be found from leadership, just like the white ones, from skill nodes, and from the Dread Ring campaign, which is the new area that came with Module 2, or from the Wondrous Bazaar. Now, talking about the Wondrous Bazaar, that's a good thing I need to mention. If you go to the Wondrous Bazaar, you will see that they have minor marks of potencies, lesser marks of potencies, the standard mark of potency, and a greater mark of potency. You can buy them here for astrals. The minors and the lessers are a decent, reasonable price. There's a decent price there. In a day, you could reasonably refine enough astral diamonds to be able to afford several of these. But once you get into the blues, the rares, and the epics, the purples, it starts getting ridiculously expensive. I strongly suggest that you not buy any of the blues or purples from the Wondrous Bazaar. Unless, if you're absolutely got to upgrade this enchantment and it requires a blue or a purple, and you can't wait. You can't spend the time going out, and the prices on the auction house or for the mark is too high, or maybe there's none available. Then okay, yeah, you can buy them from there, but I strongly suggest you try not to buy them from there. But in this case, I already have some, so we're going to go ahead and upgrade. Again, the confirmation. And a success. It's now rank 4, and it consumed 1 of the green regions. You hit continue, and again, you'll see that it has some refining points. Now, one thing I need to mention, and I'll use this stack of 15 that I've got, because at this point, this stack of 15 rank 2s have no refining points in them. They will stack. So you can have, up to 99 of these rank 2s that have no refining points. They will stack. But the second you add a point to one of these rank 2 radiants, like so, you'll notice that stack just decreased by 1, and the one that I added the refining points split off from that stack and is now in a different spot. The reason for that is because it's to help indicate, and so that you don't lose the enchantment that you're feeding refining points to. But no matter what you do, once you've added refining points to it, it will not, even though it's still a rank 2, it will not stack with these other rank 2s. And that's because it's got refining points in it. Now, if I were to open this stack back up, as you can see, there's no refining point, so I'm opening that stack. And we're to add more points to this and hit refine. Now, keep in mind, this one I used 15 points. If you look at the tooltip, it will show you. It says enchantment rank 2, 15 of 60. That's telling me that I added 15 points to this particular stone or enchantment. Now in this case, I'm adding another that has exactly the same, going to have exactly the same refining points, unless it crits. But at this point, if it doesn't crit, it'll get 15. And I add it to it. Notice that it's in a different spot. These do not stack. They will not stack. Even though they have the same amount of refining points, it still won't stack. Why? I don't know, but that's the way it works. I'm assuming it's because they're trying to keep you from losing the refining points in that particular item, which brings up another point I need to point out. All right, we go back to our original stack of 13 now. Open it up. Now, this particular enchantment has points used in it, refining points added to it. If I drag and drop it onto another enchantment with no points or with points, it's going to pop up a little message saying that you've already put refining points into that enchantment. And if you use it, you're going to waste refining points. What that means is the 15 points that were added to this, they're just going to disappear. You do not gain the points that were added to this. So you need to keep that in mind. Thankfully, it pops up a message and warns you. But you have to remember that. It will consume and waste those points. So try not to use, if you've already added points to an enchantment, try not to use it unless it's, you don't care, it was a mistake, or you flat out need some points and you're not going to wait until you get another enchantment. Then, of course, you can go ahead and use it. That covers pretty much the system for standard enchantments. It works pretty much the same for the lessers, the normals, the greaters, and the perfects. There is a bit of a difference when it comes to actual shards. For instance, I've got 4 shards of the bark shield. If I double click on the shards, it opens up the refining window, and you'll notice that the refining points, it's already grayed out. I did not add refining points to any of these. The way the shards work is just like before. You have to have 4 shards to make a lesser. And what it does is it actually uses the other 3 bark shield shards as its regions. So if I were to upgrade this, like so, because it's a 1% chance, I'm going to use a coalescent. Now, once I upgrade this, boom, it's done. It tells you it consumed those 3 bark shield shards. Things now are different. Because it's a lesser bark shield now, it then goes back to the basic system with needing to add refining points, and you're having to use regions. Now, obviously, because this is a lesser bark shield armor enhancement, it's going to use the epic marks. But you notice here, it now uses another lesser bark shield. So in other words, to make a normal bark shield enchantment, you actually need 2 lesser bark shields on top of the greater mark of potency. Now, in my case, I already had an extra bark shield, lesser bark shield. So in my case, all I need to do is add refining points. If I were to, say, have a huge stack of radiance and I wanted to use them for refining points to upgrade my armor enhancement, you can do that. You simply drag and drop it, you get 15 points. If you look here, you'll notice it requires 34,560 refining points to upgrade a lesser bark shield, or any lesser. It would take a ton. I don't know the actual numbers, but it would take a ridiculously large amount of these standard enchantments to upgrade a lesser to a normal. But you can do it. Obviously, the higher rank the enchantment is, the more points you're going to get. But now let's say I were to take like my shards of terrors. I've got a bunch of shards of terrors. I don't care about the shard of terror. I just want to feed it to my lesser. I can do that. I can drag and drop it. And it's going to give me 540. Now that's using a shard of a different type. If I were to use a shard of Bark Shield, I would get more points, but I don't happen to have any because I used it to upgrade. But if we move those out, you'll notice that using a rank 5 gives the same amount of points as using a shard. So depending on whether or not you've got a bunch of rank 5s that you don't care about, or you've got a bunch of rank of shards that you don't care about, they give you the equal amount because it's not the same type. If it were the same type, it would give you more refining points, which brings another point that I need to bring up. It is better to use the low rank enchantments when you are adding refining points to something than it would be to purposely rank. All right, I've got a stack of 29. If I wanted to use that in another item, I get 15 points for a rank 2. Now, if I use a rank 3 in that particular item, you'll see, I double click that wrong. Open that back up. All right. Now, if I were to add this, it gives me 45. So, that's the rank 3. Yeah. So 45 for a rank 3. But if I add a rank 2, it's only 15. Now, keep in mind, if you were to rank these the rank 2s up to a 3 to get that 45 points, you're actually losing points in that upgrade process because you have to feed a bunch of enchantments into it. You're actually losing points. So instead of upgrading these to rank 3 just to use them as refining points, you're better off just using the rank 2s that you already have, because that way you're not wasting points ranking it up. It doesn't increase exponentially. I worked out the numbers at one point, and you trust me, you lose points. It's better just to use the ranks that you happen to get as you're going through. So if you get a bunch of rank 3s, then yeah, go ahead and use the rank 3s. But if you've got a bunch of rank 2s, like I said, don't rank them up to 3s just to use as refining points. Just use the rank 2s. If I were to make a normal, the standard Bark Shield, I would then have to feed a bunch of points. And just like with the other system, you add, refine, and keep going. So this, once you've gotten past the shards, it's pretty much the same as normal enchantments. The only difference is you're now using a epic, at least one. I believe it is one greater to go from lesser to normal, and then once you go into normal and want to go to greater, it's going to take 2 of the greater marks of potencies. The main difference being that unlike these, it does require at least 1 of the lower type to make the next higher level. So to go to a normal, we need 2 lessers to make a normal. To make a greater, we need 2 normals. To make a perfect, once again, obviously, you need 2 graders, plus the amount of potencies, greater marks of potencies. So that system is pretty much the same. Another thing I need to point out is if you already had a character to level 60 when Module came out, you're going to get basically a message from Cryptic that's going to give you a couple of items. Now, these items are refining stones, but they're very specific refining stones. Just like the aquamarine, it has a set amount of points that it's going to give you. But in this case, these are intended more for the new artifact system than it is for enchantments. Yes, you could add them to the enchantment window for a standard enchantment. But if you notice, you're not getting to 2,500. You're only getting 500 points. And the reason for that is in the new artifact system, each artifact has a specific type. Now, in my case, I have the artifact of water, the water of Alizad. The water, is considered an artifact of union. And what that means is that if you look at these stones, this one is a power stone and this one is a stability stone. I've already used the one for the union, so I can't actually show you that. But if you were to have the lantern from the quest that you get at level 22, it gives you the choice between the three. If you were to choose the lantern, that lantern is a artifact of power. And what that means is that you could then rank it up or refine it by using the lesser power stone, and you would get the full 2,500 points. Now, obviously, in my case, because I'm using it with a artifact of union, I only get 500. That's fairly normal. It doesn't matter which one I use, whether I use the stability or the power. Because it's not the same type, I lose the points. Which brings me to the new artifact system. The artifacts are a bit different than enchantments. With artifacts, they have varying ranks depending on their rarity. In this case, it's a green. It's uncommon. Now, in the uncommon levels, you have multiple ranks, rank 1 through 29. You can see what rank it will go up to till you have to actually upgrade it to the next rarity level and continue ranking it up. Now, the reason why you want to rank this up from the get-go is as it goes up in individual ranks, its buffs and abilities increase. When I first got the Water of Alizad, you got 42 recovery when you equipped it. And the heal, I don't remember exactly what the heal was for. I think it was like 2,000 points over 6 seconds. But because I've been ranking it up, because I've been feeding it enchantments and actually doing the refining, each time you refine and add to it, you notice this top bar is increasing. And it's telling you that I need 30 more to go to the next rank. The bottom bar is the indication of its total rank. Uncommon green goes from 1 to 29. So this is telling me I need 30 more refining points to go to the next rank. And it's telling me that I'm over the rank of refining points because I added several. Again, not a problem. It goes into the overall pool so you don't lose them. So you hit refining, and now I just ranked up. I went from rank 16 to rank 7. And as you can see, because I went from 16 to 17, I gained a few recovery amount. I didn't even pay attention to what it was, but as you can see, it does go up. So if I wanted to continue, I could just keep ranking it up, keep adding points to it, and refining. And we're just going to rank this all the way up. And because this is on preview, I don't care about using these up. I'm going to put these in to speed things up a bit. Alright, and I do have a aquamarine, which is 1,500. Now the nice thing with these aquamarines and the refining stones, it's a set amount. You don't have to worry about if it's in a different type or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. Alright, we're now up to rank 20. And we just keep feeding it. Use up all these low levels that I've got. And we just keep going. Boy, as you can tell, the higher the rank goes, the more refining points it's going to take. That's perfectly normal. Let's see some of these. Now you notice how I'm getting bonuses. I haven't determined exactly what causes it, but depending on the type of it is that you're refining, certain enchantments give a bonus. Like for instance, let's see. We'll use a dark here. I put in the dark, and it's giving me a bonus. If I put in a azure, it's giving me a bonus. At some point, there are certain ones that don't give you the bonus, if I remember correctly. Just can't remember which one it is. Okay, it looks like they all give you a bonus. I was thinking it was different. But anyways, let's keep going. Obviously, now I'm starting to use green, so I'm getting more points. So this is speeding it up quite a bit. And we're getting there slowly but surely. That message is letting me know that I'm using one that I already have refining points, but I don't care. So I'm going to go ahead and use it anyways. And we're slowly getting there. As you can see, it takes a lot of refining points the higher the level. Same thing with the enchantments. The higher the rank of the enchantment, the more points it's going to take. You can even get crits. I got 2 crits there. And we just keep going. And eventually I'm going to get this. Sometime today, maybe. Takes a lot of points. We'll just keep going. Crank it up. Now, I'm just purposely, I'm using all these up. This is on test server, so I don't mind going through all these enchantments. I'll use that blue and get a lot of points there. I guess I could use a couple of my shards. Yeah, I should have been using the shards from the start to speed this up. Because I'm not really wanting to waste them on this. I don't want to use all of them. I mean, it is preview, but still. Okay, now it gets to the point where it's telling me, hey, okay, you now have enough refining points, and you can start upgrading. But you'll notice here, the regents, when the regents become available, you'll notice that it takes a mark of potency, same thing as the standard enchantments, but it also requires marks of union. Because I'm using an artifact of union, the regent will be determined by the type of artifact that you're using. So if you're using, like me, the water, which is an artifact of union, the regent that it will require will be a mark of union. If you're using an artifact of power, then the regent you will need will be a lesser mark of power, or stability, which is the third type. So the type of artifact you're using will determine the type of regent needed. Now, the mark of potency, that's a universal one. It's used in all 3 systems. And it shows I do not have any marks of union, so I can't upgrade. But basically, just like standard enchantments, once you've gotten your marks, you would then be able to upgrade it. And you'll notice here, you got a 90% chance of upgrading. Unlike weapon enhancements and armor enhancements, this uses the same system as the standard enhancements, which means you can use preservation wards. What the preservation ward, unlike before, when you used a coalescent or preservation ward, if you failed, you lost the item or the enchantment. Well, in the new system, you don't lose the item. You lose the regents. So that's important, because some of these things, like the marks of union and whatnot, they're not that common. They're probably, over time, they'll probably become more common, and which will bring the prices down. But for right now, they're not that there's not that many out there, and the only place you can get these are from the blues drop in epic dungeon skill nodes and off of the bosses. The greens will drop from standard skill nodes, chests, rewards, and so on, or from leadership. But I do a lot of leadership missions on live, and I have yet to have anything other than the white ones show up. So the drop rates are pretty low. I'm sure at some point they will probably increase the drop rates. Hopefully they will, because the drop rates are just ridiculously horrible right now. I strongly suggest when you're doing these artifacts, just like with standard enchantments, use the preservations rewards. You would have to use at least 100, right around 100 preservation wards to equal the price of a single coalescent ward. And now that coalescent wards have gone bound to account, that will probably increase the price of the coalescent wards. So more often than not, you're going to want to use the preservation wards because they're generally cheaper. If you have any questions, if you can't, if I wasn't clear enough in some areas, please leave a comment, let me know, and I will try to clarify or answer any questions that you may have. But for the most part, that is the new refining system.